Are these villains super in Captain America Civil War? For a breakdown on what we're talking about in being a supervillain, check out this video. But basically, we're looking at the costumes and name identities that are given to the villains in the movies to see if they qualify as supervillains or if they're just bad guys. Starting off with Brock Rumlow in Civil War. And this is so hard, but I have to fail him, unfortunately. And it's tough because just based on the costume, this is like one of the most super villainy costumes we get in all of Captain America's movies. Like, I would argue this feels more like a supervillain suit than the Winter Soldier did in Winter Soldier movie. But he just goes by Rumlow. And if that's what he went by in the comics, then I would give them a pass, since that would be his supervillain name. But in the comics, he's Crossbones. If they had given the most passing reference to the name Crossbones, I would pass him 100%. That's how good this costume. Maybe I'll pass him anyway, just based on the costume. It's so close. But based on the definition, he just barely fails in that regard of being a super villain. Similarly, the henchmen he uses in this one, they also fail. I had talked about, Hydra and the strike team in the last two videos. I couldn't find a good picture of them for this. That's why Crossbones is still here. But they're just goons. They're not a supervillain entity. They don't feel like one. And then we've got Zemo, who doesn't pass as a supervillain. He goes by his government name, and he has no costume. And yes, in the comics, he's Baron Zemo. But they don't mention in this movie that he's a Baron, so just full-on fail, unfortunately. I want to be clear, he's still one of my favorite villains of the MCU, but he's not a super one. And those are really the only villains in this movie. It focuses more on the conflict between the other Avengers, and I'm not counting them as villains, super or otherwise. If you really wanted to, then basically all of them would pass as super villains, since they all have names and costumes, but they're not villains, so they're just superheroes. So unfortunately, Civil War gets the worst supervillain score out of the three movies so far. They had 3 villainous entities, and none of them passed. Next time, we're going to be talking about the Falcon and Winter Soldier miniseries.